In this video, we shall continue discussing how to improve your checklists and your test cases. And here we shall review another simple technique, just 4 questions to improve your test cases. Of course, we understand that test cases help us to find defects, but we also know that it's impossible to find all defects. That's physically impossible. So we have to find as many important defects as we may with the time available. How can we achieve that goal? We shall start with anti-example. Don't do such things. Imagine we have something like that. Maybe some web form to subscribe to a mailing list. And then we have such a checklist from someone, some unknown bad software tester. It has such points there. The only question we want to ask is, what in the name of God is this? Where the positive tests are? Where even the button click is? What is the purpose of this form? So all this effort was spent in vain, and it's good that we've stopped on the checklist stage. So these points was never transformed into test cases, and thus we've saved some time. Or even worse, if we are using some test automation tool like Selenium IDE, we may see such bad things. This is just garbage. All those 3 tests do nothing useful. But someone had spent his time on writing them. Someone another had spent his time on reviewing them. And now we see that those tests are bad. Do not do such things, because this is really a kind of insanity. All those tests cannot help us to improve the application quality. All those tests are really bad. And now we shall talk why. There are 3 mortal sins in software testing. First of all, it's so-called false positive test. It's a test that passes successfully and does not find existing defects. Such tests are extremely dangerous, because without such tests, we know that maybe in some functionality there are some defects. But with such tests, we see that our test has passed, so maybe this functionality is okay. But for real, there are defects that are now hidden by such tests. The second idea is so-called blind test, that follows some mysterious logic, does complex things, something of that, something of this, but all for nothing. Such tests do not follow a reasonable user scenario. They just do some kind of random clicks, other random actions, maybe even perform some complex actions, but they do not really check anything useful for the user. And the third, so tests from the previous slide are representing this sin. Test case that analyzes some insignificant behavior and is usually covered by other tests. It's like fill the field, click the button, and so on. This is just a step of other, more complex and more useful tests. Nothing more. So remember, never do such things. That's very, very bad. And if that's bad, what's good? Here's an example. The same web form. But here we see a good approach. We are trying to subscribe the mailing list. We are checking for the confirmation email. We are checking for the mailing list emails. We are trying to subscribe again with the same email. What's the behavior here? We don't know yet. Maybe it shall not allow such action. We may unsubscribe, and how. We may have some questions to the requirements, and we may think about what may go wrong during the subscription process or during any other process. Of course, this is not the ideal checklist. It may be improved. It should be improved. But if we compare this checklist to those ones with the red border on previous slides. This one is good. Before we go to the next slide, please check yourself. Did you notice the typo here? Attentiveness is important for software testers, so if you notice the typo, that's nice. So here are those 4 promised questions. When we begin testing something, we should know what is this, what do we test, because sometimes we test some strange component or system, so we have to understand it. Once we understand it, the second question is who needs that and what for. Here we usually see good scenarios. The next question is what's the usage process? Here we usually see positive tests. And the last question is how can something go wrong? Here we usually see negative tests. And yes, it seems that simple. For real, all the questions are simple. The difficulty is in the answers. We have to get a real deep answers, the real answers. Not just something that only looks like an answer, but doesn't provide us with the information. Such answers sometimes are not easy to find. But the more experienced software testing specialist you become, the easier that answers are for you to find. For now, simply begin asking yourself that 4 questions and apply the answers to your software testing process.